Okay, so we're here for episode 3 of Lumina Cradle of Stars. I'm Danny. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the director for this season. If everybody would like to go through their names, their pronouns, their character's name, their pronouns, their playbook. And then I think like last time, we'll just do the same thing, which is what is the first experience question on your list of XP questions, so that your playbook specific one. Fumi, why don't we start with you?
Sure, I'm Fumi. I go by any pronouns. I'll be playing as like Adele, the Harmony true name. Alhena is like pronouns is like they, them. Let's see. There is like first condition of is like XP is addressing a challenge with understanding or coordination.
Will?
Hi, my name is Will, pronouns he, him. I will be playing the outsider Frida, whose true name is Bellatrix, pronouns she, her. My rival is Adele, and my first XP line is you address the challenge with individual action or aggression.
Clarice?
Okay. Yeah. So, Clarice, she, her. I'll be playing Sarah, the unlikely hero, which is she, her, or they, them, and their magical name is, or true name is Polaris, and their unlikely hero thing is you address a challenge with compassion or honesty.
And David?
Hi, folks. I am David S. He, him pronouns. I am going to be playing as Violet, true name Vega, she, her pronouns, and she is the Guardian playbook. First line on her XP questions is you address a challenge with kindness or self-sacrifice.
Awesome. Okay, so we kind of did the recap already. So why don't we just jump backwards in time just a touch, and we'll go through the obligation phase for Violet. So let's see here. Your lowest attribute is tied between sun and stars. Sun is about violence and fear. And stars is about panic and social pressure. Do you have a particular preference for this?
Which one I'm supposed to emphasize?
Yeah.
Let's do stars, panic and social pressure.
Awesome. What sorts of situations does Violet feel that makes her feel panic and social pressure?
Okay, I have an idea. This takes the character in a pretty dramatic different direction in some ways, but I think it could be a good kickstart to the season here, okay?
Yeah.
I would like, pending everyone's approval, to begin the season for my character by killing off my father. He has passed unexpectedly, so we're told it was a heart attack. And I'm now at the funeral delivering the eulogy and trying to keep my composure. And the question of who his successor will be is quite difficult because me and Rose are twins, and so in a way we both sort of have that royal heir quality to us. So there you go.
Is that is part of the eulogy and the ceremony, is there an expectation that the next in line will be announced, like whoever's taking over the house, or is that something that will be announced at a later date, not here at the ceremony?
It's dramatic if we just announce it there, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So that's what we'll go with, I think. Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm sure it will have some controversy to it. So that's what I think we'll do there.
Awesome. Why don't we go ahead and make your roll right away? So you have 1 in stars, so that's just 1d6.
Okay. Oh, fiddlesticks. I've completely forgotten where the tab for the dice roller is.
Oh, here, I can just copy that in.
Thank you. Sorry. Hey.
Oh.
There we go.
Dell's already on.
Okay. And what's the dice pool for this again?
Just 1d6. because you have
Perfect.
a 1 in stars.
That makes sense. Okay, here we go. 3.
Okay, so we subtract that from 6 for the obligation phase. So you take 3 stress.
Okay.
Where are these ceremonies typically held at? Is it at like the family graveyard, at a shrine, at the house itself?
I'm picturing shrine. It is arranged in a circular theater in the round sort of format. And the eulogy is less one person standing on a stage before everyone, and instead it's more like an oration where you're turning and speaking to everyone sort of in turn as you deliver. So it has a little bit more of an ancient Greek sort of quality to it than a more traditional Western funeral might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
There's torches everywhere because that's our house.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Before I forget, we have a part of the hideout that reduces your stress by 1, so it's actually just 2 you take.
Oh,
sorry about
neat.
that. Forgot.
2 stress, not 3.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I think various members of the house of all ranks are there arrayed out, as well as members of the media. I mean, certainly this isn't going to go unnoticed by, his house Hephaestus after all. The ceremony has been going for a while, and Violet's been asked to speak. What are the sorts of things Violet says to the crowd arrayed there?
I am recounting early childhood memories that humanize him and don't speak quite so much to his professional accomplishments, but rather to his humanity and qualities as a father.
Nice. Yeah. There are, people touched by this, lots of wet eyes, but everybody trying to hold it in as much as possible. This is the time to, show the strength of House Hephaestus, not show weakness by breaking the patterns of the allowed behaviors. And there is a minor commotion off to the side. And Rose quietly approaches. Do you have a microphone or anything like that, or have you just been announcing loudly?
I think there's probably some kind of microphone. Yeah.
Yeah, vocal projection system of some sort. So she leans in to try to make sure it's not really overheard. And she says, I think it's known, at least to the 2 of you and, higher up members of the house, the guardians of the Shrine Maiden, they look over the Shrine Maiden, but they've also kind of look over the house. And so it's expected that Gabriel is meant to be here and is meant to announce, give the announcement of who it's going to be in charge of the house, if it's going to be Rose or if it's going to be Violet. So Rose quietly approaches and says, "Where's Gabriel?"
I thought you knew.
No, he's supposed to look after me. I'm not supposed to look after. That's not how this works, right?
A moment, everyone, I announced to the crowd, and then I sort of like put the microphone to the side. Well, have you asked anybody else?
Nobody else in the guard contingent knows where he is.
Does anybody else in the guard contingent know who of us is to be named successor?
He had the will.
And no one else has a copy of the will?
I can look into it, but it's going to take some time.
Sure. Very well. If you'll excuse me, I need to wrap this up.
I think she says, "You don't have to ask for help. I'm here." we'll do this together. I think she goes to grab your hand.
Oh. I squeeze her hand and would like to express more affection than that, but I feel like that's not really permitted in this culture because of the, setup that we had. So, then if that works, then we can, unless there's more, you had to close out the scene with her sort of taking over, and we give this sort of shared improvisational speech, and then at the tail end of it, maybe, oh, and by the way, there will be a announcement from the will at a later date.
I think when you
And
say that, the media cameras just start going off, and there's, just like a bunch of loud whispers throughout the shrine.
oh yeah. And as soon as we say that, like, we're ushered off off of the stage, as it were, and like some guy like runs up in a suit and he's like waving at the cameras, shouting, "No more questions, no more questions."
Yeah. I like it. Awesome. So last session, Sarah had invited everybody to come meet at the hideout, and that was kind of the first downtime activity we jumped in on. And Violet was invited, so we kind of paused that scene to see if Violet showed up. So we can pick up there if she does.
Yeah, totally. You might need to set the scene up for me just again.
Oh yeah.
Just for me, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I saved everything because I prepared this way in advance anyway. So basically before the text kind of went out and everything, Sarah was kind of having a moment of like kind of trepidation and everything, and kind of concern, as one, they kind of are like, I don't know if how things will go this time around, and kind of having that self-doubt. But then it's like asking our little good friend Lepis here to kind of give her strength to kind of reach out to everybody again. And she then sent out these texts.
Would you like to read Violet's aloud, please?
Yes. So yeah, the Violet one is, "Hey Violet, it's been a while since I visited you outside of watching Rose's taking on the torchbearer role. Would you like to meet up at the hideout and catch up? I made you a gift that I want to give you, and I hope you will like it."
The emojis crack me up. Okay. Um. There's a shot of Violet looking down at her, I guess, phone is what these are. Looking down at her phone, while in the background there is like all the cameras flashing and people out in the stage of the funeral waving their arms and trying to shoo everybody away. And then there's a shot of her screen, and it's that big chunky text from Sarah, and then just sure.
I think in the background we also see Rose, like at the same time you look at your phone, Rose looks at her phone. Like when you head in one direction, Rose just immediately heads in the other.
Awesome.
So back at the hideout, I believe Sarah, Frida, and Adele were all kind of hanging out near the couch in the main entrance area.
Yep. We were all there. The two of them had just kind of had the fun of like kind of trying on their new gifts. And I think we were pretty much right there where we stopped. I don't think there was anything after the gifts, right?
I think we paused dramatically before at the moment where Sarah was going to give Violet their gift, or her gift.
Yeah, I think so. And I do recall Sarah did mention, I think Violet might be a little late.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to show up appropriately late hour, kind of in the middle of something.
I mean, it makes sense from where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, there's probably going to be a "how have you been?" and "oh well, actually," kind of moment.
There was a lot of that, actually. There was a lot of that last session.
There was a lot of it. It's like friends, also trauma.
What are Sarah, Adele, and Frida doing when Violet arrives late?
I think at this point, at least for Sarah, she's kind of just sitting, kind of holding Lepus and everything, like and being like, "You're not going to escape again." I like because they escaped last time, and it's like nope. We're gonna be buddies, especially because I need your hat. You can't run away while that hat is still on you. It's very important.
I think I can imagine like Adele and it's like Frida are probably like over it's like probably like hovering over a calamity board. It's like but like discussing an entirely other gambit. Like, are you sure? It's like are you serious? You'd move that piece for it's like this particular part?
So it kind of depends now, like how Violet kind of enters in, I guess, because Sarah has had their own way of pretty much greeting everybody when they come in as well, depending on how they came in. Because I think Frida's like punching
Sure.
something, if I remember right.
I'm in. Oh goodness, I don't want to hijack the scene by like having to explain the funeral and everything. I'm going to. I probably don't even enter the scene. There's probably just like a shot, like the camera's facing Sarah. And Sarah's kind of like talking, sort of to the viewer. It's like a first person, point of view shot of Adele. Sarah, you're kind of talking to them, and then you just see me kind of poke up over your shoulder like a groundhog or a prairie dog or something, just whoop, and then I'm just kind of there.
Oh my goodness. So pops over my shoulder. Do I notice you as the question, or is this a like a really sneaky like? Whoop?
You might not notice me initially. There might be like you're here and I kind of pop up right behind you like this, and then it cuts to like a profile shot where you're here and I'm like uncomfortably close to your back. And then there's this pregnant pause and moment of silence, and then maybe you turn and notice and react however you choose to.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think it's more of like kind of getting probably involved still to like in the conversation with like Adele. Probably like so kind of like probably just catching up on like some events of the year or something like that. Before kind of just kind of leaning backwards a bit because she sometimes kind of does a little kind of moving it back and forth on their heels when they're talking with people. And I think just like doing that, they kind of like their shoulder touches something, and they're like, and they turn around. It's like, Violet! Oh my goodness! How long have you been there? And just before, kind of just immediately, kind of like just kind of grabbing your hand and everything and all. It's like, it's really great to see you. Everybody, Violet's here. I guess. Am I probably the only one who didn't notice? I probably didn't notice.
It occurs to me everyone would probably know about the funeral because that would be big news. So this is something everyone is kind of in the scene sort of already aware of, and they probably know that I'm coming directly from it, just so that we don't have to explain that out to people.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense why Sarah was aware that you'd be late.
There we go. Perfect. So I will smile sadly to you and say that it is good to see you as well. And I sort of have this pause where I'm not really sure what to say at that point, and I'm a little bit teary.
And Sarah just like kind of like was so like kind of ecstatic over seeing you, and didn't realize, oh wait, Violet had a thing today, so they were very like their cheerfulness and everything was like kind of starts to kind of mellow a bit, just because it's like, oh, that might have been a little insensitive kind of feeling, and before being like, oh, is everything all right?
Everything's as good as it can be. I'm just happy to be here with you all. It's been quite a while.
And like Sarah just kind of instinctively just kind of like almost like because you're kind of family to her, she just kind of offers her arms out like, you want a hug?
Yeah, I know there might be a shot of us hugging. And I look genuinely happy and relaxed.
And at this, Sarah's just like, well, before everybody kind of catches up, let me just get you your gift really quick, just so that I don't forget, especially because Lepus has a tendency to disappear whenever I'm looking for him. I wonder why. 1 second. Just kind of takes the little hat off of Lepus's head again after like chasing it for Lepus probably for a bit. And then kind of,
if you don't watch out, Lepus might start avoiding you more than Lepus is avoiding me.
Yeah, I know, right? And then kind of just like kind of flits about her hand in the hat, like, yet again, this is a tiny hat for Lepus kind of thing, and just pulls out yet the little kind of gift that they have for Violet, which is they kind of give over a little kind of, it's a little necklace pendant, and on this kind of pendant's kind of outer exterior, it's got the kind of the night sky with the constellation Vega, and with the constellation of Vega, kind of just once again basing it off of your name, with also on the inside is, first of all, a compartment for kind of putting anything you want in there, kind of like maybe a photo or anything like that, and then kind of in the print is just a greater galaxy kind of view on the inside.
Awesome. I'm going to start like crying, but not in like oh, this is a really like sorrowful, serious moment kind of thing. Like this is like silly bawling played up for laughs, kind of cutting loose crying. So there's these big cartoony tears like shooting out of my face and like ricocheting off the walls in the background, and I've sort of buried myself into your shoulder here. Is that's happening.
And I think Sarah's just like, well, I'm glad the gift I made you was really nice. But like she's like, she's like, on one hand, I'm happy that you're happy, but also like this conflicted thing of like, but you were sad earlier and I don't know how to treat this moment. Like, I'm really happy that you like this gift, but also I know that you're going through shit. So they're like awkwardly kind of like pat.
I'll dramatically spring away from you and point at you, and issue a extremely serious vow that I will make this up to you.
No.
Get you a gift, Sarah.
No, don't be like Adele on that.
It will be the best gift you've ever gotten. I swear it on my father's life, Sarah.
Sarah's like, no, like you don't need to be that serious. And Adele already like threatened me with a gift too. You don't have to. I wanted to give you guys a gift. You don't have to give me anything back. Like just like like a kind of a silly kind of a little panic and everything, like they're just cartoonishly kind of like their eyes kind of just like all kind of like swirly because like, oh god, how do I respond to the fact that now there's two people threatening me with a gift? Frida hasn't said anything, but that's scarier in its own right.
Frida is biding her time.
Lepus is in the background mopping up the tear puddles.
Yes, I like it.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, and I think the bigger question is like after all that, I'm more curious what the rest of the group might say having Violet kind of now in the room, because yeah, everybody's here.
You can go first if you want, Will.
No, it's all right. I don't have anything. I don't have anything queued up, unless we're still sort of in the gift giving section. We haven't moved forward to
The plotting. Yeah.
yeah.
The plotting.
Also, David has 2 downtime actions.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I forgot about that completely. Yeah, we should do
yeah.
those.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. This was Sarah's last downtime action. So, Violet, did you enjoy this?
Yes.
Oh right. Yeah, get 2 dice again.
Solid gift, yes.
And 4. So that means you get 2 links.
Okay, so I go to my character.
3 links.
3 links.
Right, 3. My brain.
Yep.
Okay, so 3 links with Sarah then.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, and so then we have Violet's downtime activities.
Okay. Here we go. So those are make a connection, help a friend recover, long-term project, and investigation, right?
That is correct.
Okay, good deal.
Currently, just so you're aware, we are 1 dot shy of being finished with tier 1 investigation. If that
Okay.
matters to you. You don't have to, doesn't mean you have to choose that though.
Might as well get that finished off though. So let's make investigation one of them. I feel silly asking this, but what exactly are we investigating again?
When you investigate, describe how you seek information on your adversaries.
Adversaries. Okay.
I mean, Gabriel is missing, and also the will.
Yeah,
Oh, there we
and
are. Yeah.
Rose curiously went a completely other direction. It's like leaving at the same time you did, it seemed like.
Right. We didn't leave together. She just kind of like took off down a hall and we made like eye contact over our shoulders for just like 1 frame of bewilderment and then she was gone. Yeah, so let's investigate that.
Okay. What does that look like? How is Violet going about investigating this?
Okay, so Gabriel's gone is the thing. So I am going to investigate, like I'm gonna ask a member of maybe Gabriel's crew, because he's part of that group that the honor guard, right? Of the Torch Maiden.
That's correct.
I'm gonna ask members of the honor guard where he last was, or where is he, or what's the last thing we know about him. Just give me maybe a hint that way.
Yeah, I think their barracks are probably attached to House Hephaestus' primary piece of property, like their primary house, I imagine.
Okay.
So, you know, they're there getting ready for, you know, making sure all of their gear is shined up, double checking their schedules, running through, you know, some of them are sparring in the background. They're kind of there, you know, doing their job when you show up.
Gotcha.
I think there's probably like a second in command after Gabriel.
Sure.
As soon as they see you, he comes over.
Well, I think we just kind of have this moment of eye contact, and then I just say, "You probably know why I'm here."
Okay, yeah. He says, "You're looking for Rose."
I'm looking for Gabriel.
Right. So let's make that roll to see how many questions you get.
Okay.
What action do you think you're using here?
Good question. Let me see. Analyze probably, right? Well, it's either that or a social roll. Probably not defy or empathize. Yeah, analyze is probably the closest I can really find here.
Sure, sounds good to me.
That's one check box in that. Is it one total or two?
It's just one, so 1d6.
Just the one. Okay, so we're gonna roll one. Oh, that's a 2.
Okay, so that's one question from your list of questions.
Okay. Gather information questions.
Mhm.
Oh, these questions with this playbook are not as useful as they could be. How can I help Gabriel?
Oh yeah. Okay. So he says, Gabriel's Rose and Marie, a member of House Ignis, right? That's Sarah's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Sarah's house. They've been hanging out quite a bit, and Gabriel's always sent in attendance to make sure, you know, that Rose always has somebody there to watch over. And you know, we haven't thought much of it. But then last night, Gabriel received a text. He said he was going to go pick up Marie, and we asked if he wanted backup, and he said, no, he should be fine. You're just going to go pick her up real quick. She's in a place she shouldn't be. And he left. He gave us these this address in case something were to happen. With the schedule being what it was, we had, you know, the events of today, we couldn't go take a closer look.
I see. So we have an address that we can go to then.
Yeah. I mean, you've all been on the parade. You, I imagine, are at least vaguely familiar with the layout of the city, right? Neo Jupiter. Your job has been to travel through the city for a long period of time. So you recognize this as a place that is sort of between territories that the houses own. It's sort of like a forgotten place that no house wants to claim. People that live sort of outside of the patterns and outside of society, but still within the city limits.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. So it's not even really in the city centrally.
It's within the city, but like nobody counts it as part of the city.
Right. It's kind of a far off enough sort of location. How interesting. Okay. I would like to chastise this guy in front of everyone for letting him disappear and no one even followed up. Like, I'm going to adopt a very kind of royal authoritarian, or at least authoritative demeanor, and even if it makes me less likable, I'm letting my emotions kind of get the best of me, and I'm going to dress him down in front of everybody.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a fortune roll real quick. 1 second.
Ooh.
Okay, yeah. He stiffens his back and he puts up his chin, and you know, he takes it. And is very very professional about it. But as it kind of dies down and everybody starts to go back to their business, he says, like, kind of in confidence, he's like, I understand, Violet. Just be careful. The patterns don't allow all of these expressions.
He said that? Don't let the patterns allow all of these expressions.
Well, he says, like the behavioral allowances that everybody is given. He's like, he's kind of watching out for you.
Oh, he's like, you really aren't supposed to be that expressive.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's looking out for me, even though I just insulted his competency. So, we love a loyal guy. Okay. So I'm fine with wrapping that scene there.
Yeah, sounds great. And so you have a second.
Okay. I get one more, and then we go to the mission after this, right?
Yeah, we'll figure out a mission.
Okay.
We'll be in that weird liminal space where we don't know what we're doing next.
Sure. Do we have any long-term projects running?
I've got one, but it's sort of a personal project.
Okay. Nothing that's like adding to our hangout
Not yet.
or hideout, as it were. Um, yeah, I would like to start a project. Maybe we can add is a lounge okay with people?
I was trying to justify putting points into a lounge myself, so co-signed.
What does this look like? Like, how do you go about working on making a lounge at the Skybox?
There's a scene where I am going. I'm trying to go shopping. I'm window shopping because I want to get Sarah a gift in repayment for the necklace or the amulet or what have you that I was gifted. Um, and there's this moment of horror when I see that House Hephaestus, because the Torch Maidens are sort of like symbols of like outward facing figureheads of the house. House Hephaestus has released an entire line of Torch Maiden plush dolls. So there's like plush Violet and plush Rose, and there are these hideously ugly chibi dolls. And they're like in every single window, and I'm just like walking down the street and they're on all sides of me, and I'm like, no, 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 no. As I just see them like leering at me from all these different windows and angles, and there's like a shot that's like an unusually like an uncomfortably close up shot of one of their faces.
How did the doll
And
makers distinguish between plush Violet and plush Rose?
oh, because we're twins. Shoot, I didn't even think about that.
Because they definitely did. You can
No, they
definitely
have
tell.
to. Right. Oh no, I hadn't even considered that. What's the distinguishing feature?
Is it like the Rose doll has a literal rose, and the Violet doll is violet in its attire?
Maybe, yeah, no, there's just like it's the exact same doll, but with just like a different flower stitched on the lapel. You know, it's kind of like those. Oh, this is sort of a reference to a ways back, but you know when they released those like Beanie Baby teddy bears, where it was the exact same teddy bear, but they just had like slightly cosmetically different variations on them, but it was the same thing. Yeah, that's what it is. So there's a violet one with a little violet on the lapel, and a rose one with a little rose on the lapel. And oh no, maybe the violet one has angry eyebrows. And the rose one's really cute and sparkly, and the violet one's like hideously ugly and has like resting bitch face going on. And that's the way they do it. Okay.
I think they're like, as you're walking by, there's like a flower shop, and there's a whole bunch of like pots done out that are like, based on that same style, and like the lady's watering one, and there's like, the hair is the flowers,
Oh, right.
like
Okay.
like those old grass things you could get.
Like a chia pet? Is that
Yes,
what?
yes, yes.
Oh my gosh. God forbid. Yeah, so anyway, the point is that there is this just awful commodification of me and I guess my sister, because we're public figures. Um and yeah, maybe I panic and I want to get these off the shelves, and so I panic buy like a whole store's worth of them. And so there's just this shot of me kicking open the door to the lounge, and I'm wheeling in essentially a large wheelbarrow that is overflowing with horrible plushes. of me, and I, without further comment, dump them into the center of the room. Anyone present might look at me for a moment with a questioning expression, and I just say, I don't want to hear a word, and leave.
All right, so let's make that roll real quick. Also, I think that would be a great moment that like the others are doing the figuring out the mission, and then you're in the background and this happens, and that's what you're interrupting. Is the serious moment of them planning the mission.
Right, there's this very pivotal decision, and then slam. The
Yes.
wheelbarrow comes in. Yeah.
So
Okay.
what action are you rolling for
Oh dear.
lounge?
Uh,
Defy?
Facing opposition head on, I suppose. Yeah. Is there one for like keeping your cool, sort of? Like maintaining composure?
Flow?
Flow or conceal? Yeah.
Flow or conceal, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it would have to be one of those, which is unfortunate because I don't have any dice in those, but what can you do?
All right, so 2d6 and we'll take the lowest.
2d6 lowest. Oh dear, okay. Oh, that's still a 4.
Yeah, okay. So I believe that's 3.
Sweet. Thank you everybody for your patience as I get my downtime actions wrapped up.
Okay, we are kind of at the top of the hour. Is everybody good with a quick 5-minute break and then we'll jump into mission plotting? Okay, I'll see you all in 5. So I think we see here in the hideout, Frida and Adele standing next to Ian as Ian's in a trance-like state, finishing up this painting. The door to Sarah's chambers slams open, and Sarah's like, I can't find anything. What have you all got? And then the door opens, and then we see Violet with the wheelbarrow, dumps out the plushies, and then comes back, and there's just like crickets. By all means, feel free to pick up.
I'm going to sit down next to Ian, and if I can be present in his peripheral vision, then that's probably the best thing to do. I don't want to interfere with him, but if I don't think I can get in his peripheral vision, I'm just going to put like one hand on the side of his on the edge of his canvas. Just so that he's aware I'm there. If he needs to disengage, or like if he is in a traumatic place, I want to indicate to him that I'm available to talk about it with him. But if he's like hyper focused on getting this thing finished, I'm going to let him finish.
I think as Frida steps into his peripheral, the light that's shining from his eyes goes out, and he kind of starts to shake, and then he, looks a little bewildered, looks at the painting, looks that he's got the brush with the red paint, and he's streaking, what is essentially blood down from the white stag's neck, and kind of drops it and goes wide-eyed and looks at Frida, and I think in 2 quick steps goes over and, it's a tight hug.
Yeah, and I return the hug, and can you walk me through what just happened with you? Is it okay?
I don't know what I can tell you. I can try.
What were you planning on drawing when you started this?
I don't usually plan much. It's just what's there, what I see. Usually it's, I've been going to the rooftop, been painting the city. I go down to the gardens and I paint those. it's just what's in front of me. When I get really, really upset, then I just paint that. And here, I think he kind of looks around the skybox. Here, we're just so much closer to, it just feels so raw, Frida. And then it just took over.
I help him clean up his paintbrush. Because it sounds like he since when he dropped it, it probably spattered paint. Probably spattered paint against like the mist of the floor or what have you.
Yeah. I think, yeah, because it's red, right? So it almost looks like there's a spattering of blood on the floor.
How do you feel right now? Now that it's over.
I don't know how to describe it. You know, when your heart's racing and you're breathing short, like I imagine it feels like when you're dancing and you hit your stride and then it's over and you feel alive, and yet you feel, I don't know, just kind of dead at the same time. It's just a lot.
I think she sort of lets that sit. I think she keeps pressure around his shoulders and just sort of sits with that.
I think
And oh yeah, go on.
I think comforted, brought out of their kind of reverie, after cleaning up the brush and the two of you are standing there, he glances at the painting, like he braves a look at the painting really, and then turns to you and says, I think they're hunting.
I think you're right. And there have been too many people who have gone missing. And she sort of, her eyes flick to the blood on the blood on the stag, and then over to the rest of the magical girls, and says, and if nothing else, this speaks to some urgency.
Would it be possible to gather info on that painting?
Yeah, I think what I would do is I'll start a clock called time running out, and that's probably the consequence we'll face. I'm gonna put it at a 4 o'clock. Oh, actually, so that should go into the threat side. So what is it Adele is doing to try to gather information with the painting?
I think Adele is mostly going to. It's like, would it be possible to, as like treat this like, would it be possible to do this as a group action? Because I think Adele sort of like, I think it's like, oh, this painting could be a very strong lead if like we all consider what we might be able to draw from it. It's like sort of thing. Like, does that make sense? I guess in a sense, like trying to get everybody's, it's like trying to get a sense of like what everybody's ideas or interpretations of this painting might be, and then trying to build on that.
Kind of reminds me of a bit of a tarot card, and sort of picking up implications about specific aspects of the background of the setting.
Now, I'm assuming that we'd be like doing an analyze of kind of things, or are we trying to perceive, or I don't know.
I think one of those probably.
Either way, I'm not going to be very helpful, but I'll try.
Does like so like does everybody in group action have to use the same action?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I think since it's like, I think since, as Ian described, he was sort of taken over by the raw emotions. It's like present in the skybox and everything. And it's like, and I guess that sort of like accumulated in this vision that he proceeded to sort of manifest into this painting and everything. I think it's like, I think based on that, it's like Adele's going to, it's like try to empathize. It's like, and sort of like, I guess in a sense, trying to understand essentially like what it's like the emotions and the significance and meaning behind this imagery. Does that sound good?
Yeah. All right, so Adele's leading an empathize group action for anybody who wants to participate. I think we're looking at risky, and you're not transcended, but you are close to, you are in the skybox where we did establish that these emotions are all raw. So we'll go risky standard.
Given it's Adele leading, I will contribute my worst of 2 dice.
It's okay. It's like, since I'm leading, I can take out most one stress regardless of how many people fail.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. I'll
Um,
go ahead and start off then.
okay. So
Not
five's
bad.
the highest at the moment. Looks like Violet and Frida are both rolling 0 dice unless you want to push yourself. And Sarah's rolling 1 at the moment as well.
Yep, I'm rolling 2.
Cool.
Heartfelt. We're doing emotions here.
Nice.
I failed.
Okay, so it's 1 stress for Adele.
I got a 6.
Oh, sweet.
Hey.
Hey, but hey, if I do we have the thing where if with harmony where it counts the others yet?
No, I have to be
Darn.
transcended for that.
Well, I think I still have to roll, right?
Oh wait,
Yeah.
no, that is
Oh.
synchronized. Yeah, I may count multiple 6s from different rolls as critical success. So if you can roll a 6, that would be a crit.
Okay. Well, then do. Come on. Yeah!
Way to go. Go team. All right. So you do it with increased effect under risky, which is great. And you crit, so I guess just extra crit. So when you roll a critical, mark 5 segments or links and gain an additional benefit. So I think in this particular case, it's where's gather information. Oh, so there it is. When you roll a critical, gain improved effect level, additional questions, or some volunteered information at the director's discretion. Okay, so you get 2 questions and a follow-up. And we'll see if I can't give you extra information and stuff along the way.
Okay, so let's see.
I think
I
since
suppose.
everybody participated, you can probably ask those 2 questions from any of the playbooks that participated. That seems to make sense to me.
Yeah. I think my first question will be, let's see, it's like, how is this painting and this situation with the missing people connected?
At least some of them are how do I say this? They've, to one form or another, they've all been hunted, and some of them are going to be hunted even more.
Okay, let's see. Since this is a group action, I think I'd also like to extend if anybody else has like questions that they want to ask, rather than like me using up like all 3 questions basically. See. Anybody else have any questions from their playbooks or anything that they like to ask about this?
How can we gain an edge here?
That's a good one.
That's a hard one.
Yeah,
Sure.
and to clarify that,
Yeah,
I think Frida is studying the painting, trying to figure out if anything in it symbolizes a location in the city.
Oh, sure. I like that. As you feel the feelings that are emanating throughout the skybox, and they become more intense as you study this painting, you feel the desperation of people outside of the patterns, the people that are fighting against the patterns, the people that need change, that have to have change. Does that make sense? Okay. So I think the location, like, it's pointing in a direction of the counterculture.
And then does anybody want to ask the follow-up?
That can be to either of those answers.
I would defer to either Violet or Sarah for that because they contributed the sixes.
Yeah. Sarah, do you want to take this?
My brain's drawing a blank. Have at it.
I have a how can I help blank question. Might that be useful if we have a person in mind we'd like to be trying to help?
Yeah, and this is a follow-up, so as long as you follow up on either of those answers I've already given, you're free to ask any question that you can come up with.
What were the two answers to begin with?
Yeah, that everybody who's been missing so far has been hunted in one shape or form or another, and a few of them are going to be hunted even further. And then that there are intense emotions associated with this painting with the people of the counterculture, those who belong outside of society. That's kind of hinting
Okay,
at the location of where you might go.
got it. I mean, I might ask, how can I help the people who are missing?
Do you have one individual specifically, or just them in general?
Um, well, I mean, I'm biased towards Gabriel if he's among those missing, right?
Sure, yeah. I think you get like the sensation of wind whipping and long, thin flags flapping in the air, and the sounds of hunting horns and the sounds of hooves. And I think you get the sense of disrupt this hunt, or get to him before they do.
Oh, so he's not even captured yet. We just have to get to him before they do. Okay.
I think so. We still have the extra bonus, which I'm just kind of hanging on to. So if somebody has like a follow-up question, why don't we maybe take a moment to talk about what mission, and then maybe if there's any outstanding questions, we can use that crit bonus to help answer that.
I mean, I feel like mission-wise, it's kind of straightforward. We want to go like help whoever may already be captured by the abyss. I feel like that's kind of the overwhelming theme of like what everybody's kind of involvement is.
Yeah, basically cleansing. Sorry, you're going to say, well?
Oh, sorry for stepping on your words. Frida's concerned about the vibe on the counterculture. I mean, she's sympathetic, but if they are at risk of being if they and their people are at risk of being captured by the abyss, or their goals being captured by the abyss, we want to see if we can disentangle them from that. And it's also possible that they are just straight up an abyss op, which we should dismantle. So I'd be focused on cleansing with respect to the counterculture group.
I think as you all share notes, you begin to realize you all have basically the same coordinates. that where Rebecca is where Marie was headed, is where Gabriel was headed?
Well, it looks like a very straightforward destination. It's like from here. It's like, it's like no hesitation. It's like, I'm guessing. It's like, I guess, it's like, shall we look into this matter?
I think Sarah is already just knowing, okay, now I know where Marie is, and I know that this is a situation for various other characters. She's already kind of going to the door. She's like, let's get going.
Is
It's like,
Ian?
go ahead.
Sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is Ian comfortable staying here? Does Ian feel safe where he is right now?
Yes, yeah. Ian says, yeah, I feel safe, but I want to help. How can I help?
Manfreda doesn't want to bring Ian into what might be an abyss fight.
Does he have means of establishing communication with us?
He probably has a phone. So if he's comfortable staying here and just sort of seeing if anything else comes up in the skybox, like if he gets any kind of premonition, or if images occur to him or something weird happens, he can let us know.
Okay, so I think what that means is, the skybox is a magical place. So if he gets he'll stay here while it's safe. If he gets a vision, he'll need to drop out of the skybox to be able to, get reception to be able to contact you.
Okay. So it'll probably have to be urgent enough that he feels the need to do that.
Yeah.
And that's Frida's suggestion. He may or may not consider that to be helping enough, but it's worth a try.
With premonition. Okay. Are we good to start the engagement roll? All right. So let's walk through this. When you start a mission, assemble a dice pool and make an engagement roll, then cut to the action. So we start with 1 dice for every mission, then +1 dice for each of these. Is the mission particularly heroic or noble?
I mean, we're going to save people, and also I would say yes.
Okay. Does this mission follow up on your investigation?
Definitely.
Does this mission determine the fate of a friend?
Yeah. Possibly.
-1 dice for each of the following. Does this mission reflect your worst parts? This is always a hard one.
I don't think it's our worst parts, actually. I think this is more us kind of coming together on our better parts, actually, to fix this.
Eventually, this might cause some of the darker parts of Violet to come out, but not at the outset, at least. I don't think.
Okay. Are you acting rashly or on little information?
I feel like that's usually no, based on if you do the mission follow-up on your investigation. It feels like those two kind of go against each other.
We are kind of wrong-footed, though.
Oh yeah, we are acting, I guess, a little bit rashly, because we're just going to it. We don't necessarily know what we're getting into there.
We've been informed that there's a clock labeled time running out.
Are mundane troubles getting in the way?
I don't think any of us are being held down by mundane situations.
Speak for yourself on that.
Well, wait, Adele has an issue, right? Adele's not able to just come over here. Adele, why are you taking our engagement die?
Well, I mean, that's it's like, leaving the skybox, I think, as Adele, but it's like I feel like leaving Transcended isn't nearly as much of an issue, but
okay. Also, this mission is particularly noble or heroic, so because of redemption, you all get to clear 1 stress. It's your series ability you chose.
Oh,
Um,
and David, did you get rid of your 1 stress from the garden earlier?
No, I did not. Thank you.
okay, so I'm at 2 die. All right. Who would like to roll that?
I already have 2 dice, so whee!
Ooh, okay.
Risky.
Mixed result, risky position. Take steps right now to avoid disaster. I think last season we established that there is a very still, like looking pond in the skybox. It's just shallow water that's perfectly still and like reflects the stars above. And I think like that's the thing you enter and plunge through for the skybox to deposit you wherever the skybox feels you need to be at this moment. What is that like as you fall through the water and through darkness before you arrive at your destination? Is there anything that goes through any of your heads?
I think Sayer, it's more or less the panic of like the like starting off yet another timeline situation and being like, okay, I like there's the worry of like how's this going to play out, but nothing else for me.
We should have been doing this months ago. We're on the back foot.
Well, it's like there's no point in lamenting about that now, is there?
I think I have this inner monologue of just being nervous and hoping that Gabriel is okay.
I think as we pass through darkness, we see like distant stars. Like passing through this space is a very celestial theme. And we didn't see this in season 2, but we see this now where there are thin threads of light. Not many of them, but noticeable here and there, crossing through this kind of liminal plane of existence, almost like spider webs. And then suddenly you pass out and you land in what looks like an alleyway with very tall buildings on either side. This is where the counterculture resides. Let's, I guess, paint the scene real quick, all of us together. What here do we see that shows, that these people are, living outside of society and, struggling to do, to hold a life together and to fight back? Or you can also touch on what signs do you see that there have been recent struggles here? Feel free to jump in when you have an idea.
I imagine there's probably a lot of dilapidation and disarray, especially of the buildings and infrastructure and everything. And it's a little hard to tell how much of that is from time or lack of management or from the recent struggles possibly, because it all kind of I think it all sort of cascades together into pretty much even with the recent struggles and everything, it's hard to tell what is particularly recent destruction versus disarray that's been there from the just a general environment, and it's lack of advancement in a sense.
And I think also for kind of painting the scene here of like what might look like a struggle is kind of going off of our typical theme here with the mirrors is probably a lot of glass actually kind of shattered onto the ground at various places. And along with that, kind of like that, the glass all over on the ground, probably also some bits of kind of like the infrastructure kind of showing kind of like some indentation or like parts of it kind of forcefully ripped off.
Yeah, and I think probably on similar themes, like there's probably a lot of like smoke and air pollution in a way that it's like, oh, probably for us in it's like particular where it's like when it's like when it gets too dark and everything, the smoke even it's like looks a little too ominous and too closely like what we it's like imagine of the abyss.
Yeah, like maybe the air is very thick and very hot, and people are maybe even kind of like putting scarves around their faces to block out some of the pollution.
Check me on this if this is a bit too much, but there are signs of homeless encampments. That there are people who are, say, squatting in some of the local buildings, packed in rather heavily. There may be like under an overpass. There may be some tents and people's belongings that are laid out there, and people are finding shelter where they can.
Yeah, and to kind of also give those people a little bit of extra thing for the counterculture is they probably have the clothing that they have is probably like very kind of expressive, but it's also tattered from kind of how long it's probably been since they last kind of replaced it or like maintained it.
Yeah, and in keeping the community together and everything, despite like there's it's like this area certainly isn't lacking for like buildings and it's like similar it's like such a it's like indoor enclosures and everything, but it's like and yet like everybody lives outside of those and everything too. It's like keep close to each other and everything. All the buildings themselves are pretty much like run down and everything, and all the nicer buildings and everything notably are it's like defaced with it's like very expressive and very rebellious. It's like graffiti and such.
Awesome. I think you land into a bunch of shouting and screaming, and people running around. It's hard to make sense of the chaos, because of the thick haze. The people dash by you, surprised that you're there, stumble into you, and then run past. And there are flashes of light, as something glittering, something reflecting, some stray light here in this space moves quickly by, as it charges down the person, the people that are running past you, and you hear a whoosh of movement, which sounds very similar or what you would expect of one of the large parade drones move overhead and then come down some distance in front of you further down this alley. And you can also hear what sounds like Rose shouting. And then there's like a flash of light, as you feel like the reverberations of like her transcend further down the alley. What do you do?
I think Sarah's just gonna be kind of say, like, hey, Violet, go to Rose. I'll go help one person that one person that's getting chased right over there. Like, basically, she's like, hey, we gotta take care of the people. That is important. And then just kind of looks at Frida and Adele. Could you guys deal with that thing? Just points at our little drone problem.
Is the drone float hovering over us, or is it like coming for a landing?
Yeah, so it moved past you. I think it's out of sight because of all the thick smoke, but you can hear it, you can feel the air vibrations as it moves over. Being members of the parade, like you know what this is. It's large, right? I think as it does, you also see flashes of light as it catches stray light that glint off of it, similar to what you saw moving down, chasing people down by the sides of you. But it moves over and then heads, and you can hear it like coming down over by where you expect Rose to be.
Do I spot anyone else we know?
not here immediately in the smoky area, but if you want to take an action and try to start searching through, the people running by, that's certainly possible.
Yeah, it's not. This is all a bit overwhelming, but I think Frida is going to try and get a sense of what's actually happening here. Like there's a crowd. It sounds like we're dealing with dozens of people in a relatively cramped space, and there seems to be some sort of commotion. So I'm just trying to like get a sense of where people are going, where people are running, where the biggest threats are.
Absolutely. We rolled up risky, so we're at risky, and I think we're at. It is smoky. We established that, and you aren't transcended, so I think we're at limited effect.
Okay. I am at 0 dice on. This is probably perceive. It's either perceive or empathize, and those are both 0 dice for me.
Okay.
So I'm going to push myself for. I'm going to push myself for 1 die.
And I'll assist you.
Okay. So that is 2 dice. Risky limited, and I don't think I can reasonably I can reasonably modify that. So let's call it a 0. We're going to call it a 2 dice analyze.
You can oh, never mind, there it is.
That's a 4 partial.
Okay. All right, let me it's been a while. Let me read real quick what happens on a risky 4/5. You do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, you end up in a desperate position. All right, so I'll hold on to that real quick while you can ask your questions. So you got a 4. So I believe it's a question and a follow-up.
Okay. What's really going on here?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so I think I'll have to take a moment to establish some clocks here in a second. The flashing bits of light near you down on the ground are basically hounds made out of mirror, and they are hunting the members that live here, the people of the counterculture that live here. They're hunting them down, and there's a bunch of them. And so that's what the primary chaos is.
That's abyss. That's abyssal, right?
Yeah. Mirror monsters are abyssal, 100%. I think the smoke clears in just enough, and Frida's quick enough to be able to capture this. Further down the alley, Rose has transcended, and the drone has come down, and you see fixed to the drone. This is one of the drones that escaped early in the finale of season 2. And so it has mirrors strapped to it, sort of in all directions, and they're open into a space that leads beyond. And you see a figure dash through, and then Rose dash after them.
Oof. Okay.
And so they go through the mirrors that are held there by the drone.
I think Frida sucks air through her teeth at that.
So I think as you watch that, well, this has to be something that can be resisted. All right, so I'm gonna still think on the complication. Feel free to continue.
Sure. You said I had a follow-up?
You do, yes, you do.
Okay. Are the hounds, what tactically are the hounds trying to do? Are they do I read this correctly that the hounds are trying to like chase people into the mirrors, or are they trying, or does it look like they're trying something else?
Oh, sure. I think it's a okay, so this is what you see. You see hounds sectioning people off, like wolves will surround prey and push them further into one of the buildings. And then you also see a couple other hounds tackle people, and when they do, they like latch on to their back and they sort of meld into them so that the person's partially covered in like this half mirror plate armor.
Hmm.
And then like their eyes go dark and then they start crawling back up to their feet, and then moving off.
All right. And what's Adele doing on all of this? Like she's hit the ground. What's her position? What's her position with respect to the field?
How many hounds are there?
Um, there are, well, there are at least dozens. They're all spread all throughout here in this area with all of these people. There's lots of people. You're just in a small section of this warren, essentially.
See, is it reasonable to, it's like, let's see. So it's like, is it reasonable to, it's like, ration that it's like somebody is likely, it's like guiding these hounds. It's like somewhere.
Um, are you trying to find somebody that's gathering the hounds, looking for who might be in control?
Yeah, I think so. It's like, yeah, I think essentially I'm trying to, it's like consider, it's like, let's see, it's unreasonable to, let's see. It's unreasonable to, consider, trying to distract all the hounds because there's too many. And it's like, we can't, exactly gather all the people to safety because they're all too scattered. So it's like, I think it's like essentially is like Adele sort of like I think transcended as a it's like in the it's like transition from it's like hideout to the um is like actual scene and everything. So I think Alhena is essentially trying to ascertain whether there is a better focal point or weak spot to it's like strike at, so to speak.
Okay. So I think that's what you notice, Frida, is that Adele doesn't arrive, Alhena does, and immediately starts trying to locate the source of, who's controlling, who's issuing commands to these hounds. And I think because of all of the chaos, I think the complication here, this is risky standard. I think I'm going to mark the time running out, the hunt ends clock. You're free to resist that if you would like.
I think you're
I
muted.
think you're muted.
Actually, I'll let that go.
Okay. All right. Then I think it makes the most sense to just follow straight up to Alhena. What do we see Alhena doing? This sounds like gathering information again to me, right?
Yeah, yeah, that does seem like it. I think Alhena is going to find like the highest point that they can essentially ascend to for it's like to see if they can get a better perspective is like of is like everything. It's like might be a little bit difficult to find that with all the it's like smog and everything of this environment, but at the same time, if it's possible to identify it's like let's see a source or it's like a source or a central factor that's like might help uh it's like that might be good to strike at essentially.
Yeah, sounds great. So you're climbing up to get a better field of vision. What action are you thinking of rolling here?
I suppose in a way this is it's like probably it's like I guess this would be flow because essentially Alhena is trying to adapt to is like the circumstances here and everything where it's like okay so it's like gathering people to safety and it's like trying to distract the hounds are both unreasonable. So what would be a it's like more effective course of action from here?
Okay. I think as you're rising up, climbing to a higher distance, you begin to see the drone propellers and whatnot begin to shift as if it's also going to rise. I think that's the complication that we're probably looking at here. I think you are transcended, so I think this is risky standard.
Yeah. Actually, can I trade position for effect?
Yep, always. What does this look like? that you're acting more desperately now.
So what is, it's like, what exactly is, it's like, I'm sorry, what is trying to obstruct me again?
Oh, nothing's trying to obstruct you. As you're climbing, you can see the drone beginning to take off.
Let's see, I think actually the drone might give me a, it's like better perspective of this view and everything. So I think essentially like, it's like Alhena initially like, I think you see like, oh, it's like sort of like, it's like leaps over like, some, it's like lower buildings and everything. And that whole like, oh, you know, it's like, the exaggerated magical girl leaps and everything and all before they sort of like suddenly it's like, sort of, I think sort of like bounce, like rebound off one of the, it's like walls and everything. And I think essentially trying to, it's like land upon, it's like the drone itself.
Okay, cool.
Let's see. I am going to push myself here.
Good reminder from Clarice that links are there to be spent if anybody wants to spend any. And
I am going to try and pull aggro while you do this. I see you leaping from building to building. I see you're going to make a ridiculous leap, and I'm not going to let you take all the credit for this. So I'm going to try and draw as much attention to myself on the ground as possible. Do you accept my help?
Yeah, it's like sure. Especially in this case, it's a little bit dire. I could use as like the help.
That gives you 2 dice.
All right.
so you
Let's
take 2
see.
stress, right? Is
Yep.
that how it works? Nice. Cool.
Okay, so that would be 46. Okay, roll. There's a 6.
Awesome. So you
Nice.
do it.
And that gives me 2 questions and a follow-up.
Correct.
Let's see. I think I suppose one question would be what here is like incomplete in regards to like can I ascertain essentially like what the it's like what the antagonist is trying to achieve here and what is currently incomplete in regards to that?
Oh, what's incomplete in regards to their plan?
Yeah,
Like
to
as it's
accomplishing
unfolding?
it. Yeah.
Oh, what do they have left to do is what you're saying.
Yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Oh, okay. They have yet to collect all of the members of the counterculture here. And they, how do I say this? They have yet to see what you all do. I think you get this feeling of being watched. Oh yeah, especially because you're here close to the mirrors. I think you get the sense that the drone is hovering low enough to the ground still. There's like some kind of hesitation at the moment while you're, you're figuring things out.
Okay, let's see. And then who here can best help me? And I guess in this sense, it's like this probably looks like Alhena essentially trying to it's like scan for it's like who else it's like anyone else here that is like they recognize is involved in the situation.
You see as you begin to rise on the drone, there is a familiar face that kind of comes out of the smoke. This is Aaron. He's standing on a balcony, like limps over to the side and like is shouting down at the people, like stay, like get to safety, don't panic, stay in control. They want you to panic. He's trying to get control of the crowd and get people to safety, but nobody's listening to him. But he knows this place. This is where he lives. He knows these people. He could certainly be of assistance.
Okay, and then for my follow-up, let's see. Does anybody have it's like a good follow-up question in mind? Otherwise, I could go with basically like how can I it's like help Aaron basically like help get it's like everyone else to safety?
Um,
That's a very good question.
do you do you shout questions to Aaron, or are you just trying to assess the situation quietly?
Yeah, mostly trying to as like assess and see if there's a way that essentially I can help him, help us, help it. It's like help him, help everyone else.
Yeah. You know, you're all magical girls that are the expressions of pure emotion, and he's trying to save these people. He cares for them. If you can find a way to um like echo that, to make that louder, then I think that will help capture people's attentions and get them working together rather than like scattered prey.
Okay. I think, let's see. I think so like presumably it's like it's like all of us are able to like communicate even if like it's like telecommunication wise and everything. So I think Alhana is essentially going to is like relay something along the lines of it's like we need to find a way it's like to connect with everybody, get them to calm down and it's like work together to it's like get to safety. It's like I see it's like Aaron is it's like trying to it's like help direct everybody and it's like he is like and I'm aware he knows this. It's like the ins and outs of this place.
Um, I'm put that in the wrong spot. Hounds should be on progress blocks if you want to defeat the hounds. So I think this looks like is, as you're communicating this, the drone circles higher, kind of out of reach, out of the ground. And that's going to progress the time running out clock.
Think Alhena sort of like curses silently to themselves and just it's like sort of mutters to itself. I honestly forgot I was on this thing still.
Did you want to find a way to resist that or let it go?
Uh yeah, I think I'll go ahead and it's like try to resist it.
What does that look
Let's
like? How do you try to keep the drone down?
let's see. It's like I imagine I'm not an expert on these drones, of course, but I think it's like I might at least know how to it's like so to speak trash its core if I want to it's like essentially it's like take it down in a sense. Uh I think it's like so I think essentially it's like Alhana sort of like it's like draws her sword and then sort of like I think sort of like carefully aims and then sort of like penetrates like and tries to penetrate the it's like chassis of the drone to take down its operation.
Cool. I think yeah. So go ahead and roll. I think that might be some,
Yeah, I can see that.
because since it deals with violence and fear.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely some fear involved.
Okay. I think you do, right? And it starts to plummet for a second, and then there's like arcs of energy that emanate from it and don't pull it back together, but it doesn't fall the rest of the way. Like it stabilizes itself. So it's not like down for the count, but you've countered the clock progressing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least take down its ability to communicate things back.
How much stress did you take?
2.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so we haven't seen anything from Sarah or Violet yet.
I was just gonna ask, Rose's current status, could you repeat that?
Sure, yeah. Before the drone took off, Rose followed a figure into one of the mirrors that's attached.
Into a mirror.
Yeah.
Like through the looking glass, kind of oh, not this again, I mutter to myself, and I'm gonna take off for the mirror and throw myself at it and see if it shatters or if I go through.
Yeah, so the mirror is attached to the drone, which is like hovering
Oh,
like
it's
15,
attached.
20 feet above the ground right now. What does this look like as Violet goes to trying to get
Well, I can't. Can I reach the drone as is? Probably. I mean, if it's 15 to 20 feet above the ground, maybe not.
we are in an alleyway that's tight, and there's like fire escapes and stuff all up and down the sides.
Oh, okay. So this might be a neat, like, sprinting up the rickety fire escape that's about to collapse under the weight of, one person kind of scenes. That would be super cool. So I'm gonna sprint up the fire escapes. I mean, I'm okay if we add the detail that it is fairly unstable and any amount of shock or concussive force might cause it to come unpried from the side of the building, at least in some capacity. And if we go that way, can I like make a dramatic leap?
Oh yeah, absolutely. What action do you think this is?
It's got to be something physical. So going back to my sheet, we've got Defy's a decent option. Really, it's probably more of a flow move, unfortunately, because that one specifically has leaping across a gap as an example, and this is more of a dexterous jump as opposed to a defiant combat. So I guess this is flow.
Awesome. I think yeah, the scaffolding starts to come apart just like you described, which destabilizes, your footing. So I think we're looking at limited effect and risky position. Especially because you're not transcended right now, you're just a very athletic human trying to jump and make this.
Right on. Is there a way I forget what my options are to add more dice. I think I can push, right?
You can push yourself for 2 stress.
Okay, I'll do that. That's 1 die. So that takes me up to a dice pool of 1 from 0.
You can, instead of that, you can accept a poison promise as an option.
Okay, I'm fine with stress.
Other people can assist you and also spend links to aid you.
Okay. So I can't spend links that I have for my own benefit.
You can with my Polaris things.
Yep, that is true.
Yeah, but even then, you can't spend those links to give yourself die.
I see. Okay. So all I can really do is push myself. I don't think anybody else is here to really assist me in this.
I think I might be in a position to assist. It's like physically, since I am on a drone and everything. So I feel like essentially I can I can sort of like reach out to you and basically sort of like help. In a sense, how do I put it? Like, it's like help your momentum essentially in it's like vaulting it's like over.
I could also I've established myself as trying to pull hound aggro. So if you want to sort of fold that into a group assist, I can apply an assist to you.
Yeah, that's fine. If people want to go ahead and do that.
I'll give you first. I'm happy to take it, but you spoke up first, Fumi.
I'm good either way.
All right, let me take it. I've got more overhead on stress.
Cool. So I'm rolling with 1 die, right?
2.
2.
You pushed yourself and you received assist. Yep.
Okay. Oh, the assist, I rolled that. Okay, sweet. So we're rolling 2. Here we go.
Yep.
6.
Nice. You do it. Limited effect. So I think you leap and you grab hold and you're dangling there. So you're like halfway there basically to getting to the mirror because you're dangling now. Grasp hold of the drone 15 feet above the ground.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
Okay. What's Sarah doing?
I'm assuming that not all these hounds are remotely going after Frida and are probably still going after the general populace or groups around here.
There are a lot, especially those that aren't nearby, So go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, I was just making sure because I'm not sure how the hound situation was going with the distraction from Frida, whether or not there was still others about.
Yeah, I think we see the ones that are nearby are starting to focus on Frida and try to circle her. But you can see further down the alley on either side or into the buildings, you see other hounds. That'll require you to leave, the proximity of the rest of the magical girls, but you can run off on your own.
I mean, that's what I was going to do anyway. And this is going to be very much a callback to first mission of the second season here, which is Sarah's going to kind of rush over here, and as she and stopping when she has a certain amount of distance between the hound, like maybe one or two groups of the hounds. And first of all, she's going to call out and say, "Hey, leave them alone. Come after me. I'm the one who has magic." Before she pops off her shoes, and she's going to fling them at the hounds.
Very nice. What action are you rolling here?
So part of me is kind of trying to do almost in a way, I pretty much just confess to these hounds, hey, I'm a tastier treat here in a sense. I'm trying to empathize. I'm trying to basically appeal to them. Hey, I'm much more of a tasty treat in a sense.
It sounds like Express to me.
Yeah, it might be it. Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, cool.
I'm going to absolutely push myself.
Yeah, I think isolating yourself from the other members of the team and a bunch of packs of wolves, mirror wolves, puts you in a desperate position.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of smoke,
mm-hmm.
and you are one little person.
One little person.
So I think this is desperate limited.
I mean, that's fair with me.
Okay.
All right, so I have right now 2 dice, and let's see, what if I just double check here. Is there anything else I am feeling? Actually, is there any kind of poison promise I could take instead of doing the stress?
This is open to the table, so if anybody has some ideas, feel free to jump in. I'm going to think about it too.
You're not transcended yet.
Oh yeah, I can't transcend until you guys get hurt.
Oh.
I'm incapable of doing that for myself. Keyword, it has to be other people. If I get hurt, I can't do anything about it.
All right, here's a poison promise. It's also a potential promise for future things. This is when you start to hear Marie in the distance, like far distance. Like this isn't a thing where she's physically here. You just hear echoes through space and time from someplace else of Marie crying out.
Oh God, yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Definitely. Okay, so we have that. All right. So that's only 2 dice. All right.
Does anybody want to assist or spend links?
I can spend it's like a link to give her a die. Would you like that?
I mean, sure.
Can multiple people do that?
I think
it's only one link per action.
Cool, no worries.
So 3 die.
What comes to mind about Adele or Elhenna as you're doing this that gives you inspiration?
Well, Sarah is always kind of just seeing how Adele kind of once again has this confidence and always a little bit of a bit of a I'll take on the world by myself kind of thing, and she's kind of just following in that way of and all. Even though Adele in the last season said not to take after them on stuff, but it's too late. Learned the wrong lesson.
Excellent. This is 2 dice, is that right?
3, because of the link.
Okay.
All right. All right, so I am definitely going to get hit with something.
Yeah. All right, so a 5. So you do it. So you draw a bunch of these wolves' attention. This is limited effect, so we're gonna mark the hounds 1 progress clock.
And I, as an off thing, there is the fact that even if I'm perhaps outrunning the dogs, possibly, I mean, once again, I am taking off my shoes. There's glass all about, so there's also that potential for harm.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, there's all sorts of opportunities for me to get hurt here with how I'm doing it.
All right, so you know how earlier we mentioned that the hounds were chasing people, sort of taking control of them, and then also they were chasing other people into a specific building. I think that's what they do, is they chase you into a specific building and are kind of driving you to ground, essentially. So I think with this, that you can resist that, but I I think this gets you closer to the destination that they're driving people towards, which sounds great, but is not.
Oh, no. This is like, that's the consequence. Yeah, no, she'll take that on a heartbeat. She's getting closer to what she needs to get close to. So, yep.
Okay, yeah. So I think what happens is you enter this building and you see members of the counterculture have taken apart a drone, and it's like splayed out on a wall as they've been like investigating its bits and components and salvaging them. But there's also the mirrors that were attached to it arrayed there on the wall as well, and the wolves are driving you, towards one of them. I think they're almost there essentially. We're at the top of the hour. Are we good for another 5-minute break? Sure. Okay, see you in 5. All right. So we left off with Sarah being kind of cornered and pushed towards a mirror where the hounds are ushering, forcing people into. So we kind of cut back out to the alleyway where Violet is hanging from a drone arrayed in mirrors that Alhenna is on top of, and Frida is also calling aggro to the wolves out here in the alleyway. So why don't we start with Frida? What are you up to?
All right. So Alhenna called down to us that Aaron needed assistance getting people to safety and sort of managing the flow of the crowd. And Alhenna has put themselves in a position of risk and they're really sticking themselves out for us and for the people who need protecting here. And that to me is a sign that we're back and we're doing what we need to be. I'm spending a link on Alhenna. Alhenna, clear 2 stress. That said, what is currently threatening Aaron or the people that Aaron is trying to protect?
It's the wolves.
It's the wolves?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to stride with furious purpose towards one of the wolves that is menacing that crowd of people, and I am just going to reach out and I'm going to pull the power out of the wolf. And likely some of the glass comes with the power and encases me in a suit of shattered glass armor, with some pretty hefty gauntlets and my eyes burning furiously out from the helmet. I am transcending.
Nice.
I think this is Defy.
So you're transcending by this move. It sounds also like you're trying to intimidate the wolves. Is that what I'm?
Yeah, I mean, my main goal is not to destroy all the wolves. My main goal is to make the wolves consider me the most dangerous thing here.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Which could also be expressed for that matter.
Could be. It's basically like what we just saw Sarah do, but in a very different approach. For sure. I think this is you are transcended. You're not just some small little person away from all their friends. So I think this is risky standard.
Mm-hmm. What is the poison promise?
Again, this is open to the table.
I mean, the immediate thing that occurs to me is I'm trying to intimidate the wolves. I might very well intimidate all of the people that Aaron is trying to protect.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we can go with that. I'm cool with that. The other one I was going to throw out there was this is when Ian shows up, but either way. We can put both of those on the table, and you're more than welcome to accept whichever one you prefer.
Okay, this situation has a lot of bodies already, so I'll go with I basically look like an abyssal creature.
Yeah,
and that's probably not going to help me direct people at all.
For sure. Okay.
Okay, so if this is a yes, as Sarah points out, I have engaged the hounds, so neither I nor the hounds I am engaging may back down until one of us is defeated.
That's a lot of hounds.
It is. It's a rather significant number of hounds. So I'm at 2 dice right now.
Uh,
Sounds like everybody is involved doing their own kind of thing, so I am gonna roll
I'll
the 2 dice.
spend a link to add an, it's like another die.
Oh, sweet.
what inspires you about Adela or Alhenna in this moment?
She's taking charge, or they're taking charge. I wasn't sure that they were I was half worried that they were going to convince themselves out of assisting here because of the family drama, but they have put themselves in the thick of things, and I can't leave them hanging, so to speak.
Nice.
So that is 3 dice. And I guess I'm going to call this Express, though it's kind of floating between Express and Defy, which are both the same number of dots. Oh no, that's a miss.
Okay. So the people panic as they see you transform. That just happens. That's from the poison promise. What was chaos becomes even worse as people are falling over each other, stumbling around, and are now ready prey for the wolves who pay you no regard. They're like, ah, yes, our prey. Perfect. They leap to them. So I think that looks like 2 ticks on the time running out.
I will resist that.
Okay. I think that sounds like 2 separate consequences. You can resist them separately, or you can resist one and somebody else can resist the other.
Okay. I am going to resist the wolves paying me no mind.
Okay.
I am going to make myself unignorable.
And
okay.
I will, it's like, and I can step in to resist the people panicking consequence.
I don't like that because you're stressed.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, yeah. So we have to figure out some. All right, so people panicking. Oh, hold on a second. Let me think. I got mixed up there. All right, so you're gonna resist, so that way you're still engaged with the wolves. We don't progress the clock, but you're still engaged with them. You had rolled Express, so I think that's still, so that's Sun. And then Alhenna was gonna roll against time running out. Which was, the wolves hunting down the people now that they're vulnerable. So that sounds like panic. Stars, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Feel free to make those.
1 stress.
Nice. And so I think it goes down from 2 ticks to just 1 tick for the clock. And how much stress did you take, Alhenna?
Enough to fill up my stress bar, so I think I'll spend that last link too, as like cancel out 2 of that.
Okay. What do we see of Alhenna as they try to I mean, people are panicking. That was part of the poison promise, so it doesn't go away, but I guess draw attention of the wolves, or at least get people in such a position that they aren't, ripe for the picking, as it were.
Yeah, I think essentially it's like, it looks like it's like Alhenna essentially, it's like helps like pull Violet on, it's like onto the drone so that they're not, it's like so that she's not hanging off the edge of it and everything. It's like before sort of like noticing the rambunctious chaos beneath them, is like, and everything. It's like they sort of like, it's like and I think like essentially sort of like, it's like perceiving the situation is like below and everything, especially with Bellatrix. they sort of it's like they sort of it's like Violet, it's like, well, I guess it's your turn on the drone, and sort of it's like, and I think essentially like leap off is like to it's like over towards it's like I think essentially to it's like the nearest building of it's like sufficient height, so to speak, and everything. And I think essentially it's like Alhena essentially then sort of like shouts out, sort of like projecting and everything in that sort of commanding veneer that is always expected of like pretty much it's like every it's like person of any sort of authority, and it's like house custodians and everything of like it's like everybody calm down.
Yeah, and so the people turn, they see you, and then they stop stumbling over each other and then just start to scatter. And then what do you do after that now that you've landed on the side of the building? We'll just move the camera over to you and see what Alhena does next.
See, I think essentially, um, let's see, it's like I think Alhena's it's like focus right now is going to be it's like to figure out how they can it's like help Aaron project and everything so that it's like he can start essentially like shepherding it's like everybody, so to speak, and all that. So let me see.
I think the poison promise makes that not a possibility.
Oh yeah, that's true.
People are just pure panic now. Like Aaron can't get control of them no matter what happens at this point until the situation is like settled.
See, uh, see, I think I'm going to take from my hair. If you want, you can pan the camera over to it's like Violet or Sarah.
Yeah, sure. Let's jump back over to Violet. You're hanging there from the drone.
Who's with me again? Is that
Nobody at the moment because
no one at this
just
time?
jumped
Okay,
off.
right on. So it's just me. Okay. So my game plan is to climb on top and see if I can do the little, Mario sprite going down the tunnel, whoop, 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 just down into the mirror.
Yeah.
And as I attempt this, I'm just going to shout to everyone, I'm going after Rose.
Wordless thumbs up from it's like Alhena as they try to prize the situation.
Just like
I probably don't even hear anything where I'm at.
I think I shout back. I think I shout back something like something like save everybody on that side of the mirror.
I don't think there's a risk for Violet to pull themselves up into the mirror and to pass through. I don't think there's any immediate risk because you're already there and hanging on, and you have a good grip thanks to Alhena. So you pull yourself up, immediately pass through the mirror. This isn't like when you all arrived here from the skybox where you pass through this interdimensional space. You're just on the other side and you spill out into a lush park space. I think this is the it's like here we can all kind of paint the scene for a moment. It's almost like a zoo. It's a wildlife preserve, but whatever we see here, feel free to help out. The animals are maybe exotic. This place is reserved strictly for those of the highest house. Nobody else is allowed to be here. Only the members of the highest houses are allowed to, step foot in this area of Neo Jupiter, and to see the exotic creatures here.
I'm picturing large birds like cassowaries, those big dinosaur raptor birds that have, kind of ostrich legs and get weirdly aggressive because they're so much bigger than everything else.
I also picture kind of extravagant, maybe a little bit of gaudy kind of lighting, considering, gotta really accentuate everything here.
Well, speaking of, is it like broad daylight or is it now suddenly nighttime on the other side of the mirror? I mean, is it like moody with only a street light or is the sun shining or?
Oh, yeah. I was totally picturing you guys doing all of this at night. And you just are just translocated to a different part of Neo Jupiter.
Oh, okay.
Still nighttime? Does that work for
Still
everybody?
nighttime. Okay. I mean, I'll sort of get my bearings and sort of I imagine myself kind of like lying on the grass and I kind of like pick myself up and heft myself up onto one elbow as I sort of look about and get my bearings.
Mhm.
Is there any sign of Rose or where anybody else may have gone? Because I want to call out and scream for her, but I don't want to give my position away either.
Yeah, here's the immediate things you see. You land, you pick yourself up, you can hear a drone just kind of like its mechanisms whirring loudly behind you and like the reverberations in the air. Um, like that's what you passed out of is another drone outfitted with mirrors. You see it's like as if you take mirror and you crush it up into basically like sand, but it's glittering still. You see two horses basically materialized out of that. So these glittering starlight type horses, and riding atop them, you see the Baroness. But she is in her like mirror regalia. So she's got like, smoky mirror armor that she's outfitted in. And next to her looks like a masked marquis who's been stitched back together or glued back together with like, yeah, I think you used the word 2 sessions ago, the Japanese art where you put everything back together with like gold.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kintsugi. Yeah.
Yeah, kintsugi. So he's what looks basically like him, but just pieced back together, um, riding the other, and you hear a hunting horn somewhere off in the distance, and they both gallop by, and you see further down, you see Rose like dive into trees, and you see in the trees like something large had passed through ahead of Rose. So it's the immediate things you see.
Okay. So is it apparent to me, and maybe this is a gather information kind of thing, but is it apparent to me whether the Baroness and this Marquis are hunting Rose or are they being hunted?
I think the immediate assumption is it looks like, I mean, they're headed right after Rose, but if you want to try to see if there's like something else going on here that doesn't meet the eye, we can totally gather information.
Okay. Well, I would like to stand up and point my spear at them and scream sushi to get their attention.
Do you transcend to pull out your spear?
Oh, that's right. I would have to transcend to do that. Yes, I will transcend.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the Baroness has no choice but to respond. So I think this is a matter of whether or not you grab the attention of the Marquis and hold him here next to you. That seems to be the goal, right? Is to pull them towards you.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, yeah. So let's have a roll for that.
Trying to think what that would be here. Defy? Yeah, it's defy. It's like standing up to a bully, fixing them with a stern glare, that kind of thing. So it's like a social form of defy.
Mhm.
All right, that's one die.
I think it's risky standard. And I think what this looks like is even if you succeed and they're here, Rose is disappearing into this, this forested part of the hunting something big or chasing after something big or who knows what. So I think the consequence here is that the hunt continues. And so
Very well. I can work with that. Yeah. I've got a plan. So that works. I'll roll a d6 and see what happens. That's a 2.
oof. Okay. The Baroness comes up short, and there's like a flicker as she's like pulled closer to you, and like her glittering crushed mirror horse raises up. Um, and the Marquis just runs past. You aren't able to grab his attention. Um, but the clock continues. So you can resist the clock part if you would like.
What would that put the clock at?
Right now it's at it will go to 3.
It will go to 3 and it maxes out at 4.
Yep.
And what would it cost to resist it?
We have to find that out. So you see, you rolled Defy, so you would roll Sun, and we'll see how much stress you would take.
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
Yep.
I will not resist it. I'm okay with being a little bit fast and loose with this.
Okay. So I think we cut away from you as the Baroness like turns to you, and her armor parts on her face, and she looks at you wide-eyed, and then we cut back over to Elhenna.
See. Actually, it's okay if we see what Sarah is doing.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Sarah, you are being backed into a mirror.
Well, there's a mirror there. You mentioned that there's people also.
Yeah, the wolves. So well, let's assess.
Yeah, what's my surroundings here? I know I have a mirror, I have some hounds. I think there's some
Yep.
people.
The hounds have certainly engaged with Bellatrix. So you see them hesitate, and a number of them begin to move off in that direction where your friends were. And a few panicked people trying to look for escape run past you through the mirrors.
Okay, so the hounds all just kind of de-aggro for me. Okay. So
They have to go kill Bellatrix. They don't have a choice.
So I'm just in this room with just me and the mirrors.
And a few wolves trying to figure out what they're doing. They're like, wait a second, what am I gonna do?
Well, doesn't know what's going on. She's just going to be like, okay, well, that makes sense. And they're just going to backflip into the mirror.
Oh, okay. So
After those people. And just like backflip, waving goodbye to the dogs, like, see ya. So I'm going.
Going to be one of those fights that transitions to the other side of the mirror at some point.
Okay. Unlike Violet Vega, where you're translocated to a different location in Neo Jupiter, you spill out into sunlight, and you fall out into a kind of desolate desert, and there are a bunch of people, clearly members of the counterculture here, looking about in panic, and you see some distance away, not terribly far, are what looks like what's the word where you have like a bunch of very large, like a pavilion. You have like a whole bunch of pavilion built out, like a little small tent city that are in grays and blacks and blues, and you see a various numbers of individuals with steel gray masks arrayed out here, ushering the counterculture members into small groups, and they're escorting them back towards this pavilion in the distance.
Okay, but they're not coming at this group that I landed next to. Is that my understanding?
I think it's just a matter of you have some time here to figure it out as before they get to you. You're spilling out with all of these other people that there are in the matter of periodically coming and escorting over.
Okay. I think Sarah just kind of like like kind of seeing this, clearly knowing that what's kind of about to happen here, and she kind of just gives a smile to those who are panicking and are here at the moment. It's like, and just kind of gives this reassuring smile and everything before saying, it's like, if you keep on running that way, I'll give you some time. And she just pulls out her baton and charges right over to at what's coming this way. She's just like, nope, I'll take this.
Okay, so it sounds like you're transcending.
I can't.
I mean, you kind of can't, because plenty of people have been suffering consequences from an action. It's like at this point.
I haven't been around anybody suffering like consequence. It's more of like just unfortunate situation, but not a consequence.
I don't know. The people that you're chasing into the mirrors kind of suffered that as a consequence.
Okay, so the only reason I ask is because I don't think until you transcend you can pull out your magical baton.
my baton starts out as like a normal baton and
Okay.
everything normally.
So you just
Uh,
carry that around. Got
Yeah, I just carry it around, and like when I transcend, my normal baton turns into a magical staff and such.
All right. So what is it
hmm,
you're trying to accomplish here?
I guess I'll take it. I'll take it that this is high stress enough. I think of a situation. I'll accept that this is a good way for me to transcend. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'll
only if you
transcend.
want.
No, I think you're right. I think this is high stress enough, and that it constitutes it.
I mean, the worst thing that happened to us was Aaron lost control of the crowd.
Yeah, that's
And
about the worst. But I guess I am watching a lot of people now getting sent to be
processed.
processed.
Processed. Yes, processed. They are being processed by the people in the steel gray masks.
So yeah, I think the big thing here is, once again, I'm intending to pretty much do whatever I can. If that means like going headlong straight into these knights and like pretty much doing something along akin to like kicking them off of their like horses or whatever have you, to just allow everybody else to kind of get out of here. Just go the other way, away from this.
Okay, I think this is a 6 o'clock. Rescue people on this side of the mirror. And it starts off by you surprising these people by suddenly transcending and confronting them.
Yeah, and when I transcend and everything, it's very different than like my transcends in last season, as I no longer have any of the kind of original motif I had. As one, my magical outfit, rather than taking inspiration from everybody else, kind of comes out more as this kind of priestess kind of outfit with a kind of a raiment kind of flowing about them, and a kind of mirror that kind of has a bit of aspect of kind of like abyssal kind of energy, a little bit kind of flow, probably kind of flowing a little bit from it. And as they kind of their baton kind of starts to turn into their wand, which kind of comes out, its normal happy kind of pink with wings and the Polaris star, and when she grabs it, the pink kind of turns into this kind of black kind of obsidian, and the polar star kind of shatters and kind of starts to kind of hold this kind of like broken kind of glassy kind of way, and that's kind of like how I transform before basically, yeah, she's going to use her ability to kind of speed up a little bit, and like kind of like time wise, kind of just like almost kind of stop time long enough for her to get closer and then closer, kind of like almost kind of phasing closer and closer to then kind of hopefully take the knights by surprise and knock them off of their horses.
What action are you rolling?
I would feel like in this situation, is more likely than not that I am doing probably a defy, as I'm absolutely just trying to confront these people while also giving time for them to get out. I don't think anything else really fits that.
I agree. Yeah. I think because you're taking them by surprise and you suddenly transcended, this is controlled great.
Okay. And let's see here. And then I notice it's like since I'm also like these are powerful foes, I'm assuming, because I'm in their area. So would that mean that you gain the increased effect situation for Hero's Destiny? Just want to see how you feel on that one, because I have no idea.
I don't feel like these are your most powerful foes.
Yeah, just want to make sure on that,
Sure,
just
sure,
because.
yeah.
Because I don't know what we're doing here. Okay, so that's good.
I think I would imagine that would be like, our named characters.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So yeah, defy, I have nothing in that. I will push myself. So I have a total of one whole die. Yippee.
Take a die from. I'll spend a link to give you another die.
Okay,
What do you
I've got
recall about Frida or Bellatrix to inspire you in this moment?
pretty much how always Frida like has always kind of engaged the abyss in the past, and even like in the moments I saw them kind of engaging the hounds and like just kind of going in there with like brazen moxie and no fear. All right, 3 die. Let's see. Oh, 6.
Nice. You do it. So that is, I believe, with great effects, we marked that up 3 times. And they are taken by surprise. They suddenly scatter and try to dive away from you, clearly disrupting the processing plan. And so then the people are free to start moving around and start to like funnel back behind you. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I think we pan back through the drone that Sarah passed through and back into the chaos of nighttime in the alley. And then we check back in on Alhenna.
Let's see. It's like, goodness, it's like, I think it's like Alhenna is sort of like it's like, see, in the midst of all this chaos, I think it's like sort of like, I think it's like definitely one of those situations where it's like they feel themselves in over their head and everything right now. It's like it's like, and I think there's like that sort of, it's like there's that sort of frustration. It's like where it's like it's like the thing of like, how do I put it? It's like, the frustration basically like, oh, it's like trying to help people, but then unfortunately it's like they don't put themselves in a position where they can be helped. It's like, and it's like, let's see. It's like you can kind of see how Hannah sort of like is like grips her it's like sword. It's like way too tightly from it's like the frustration of this entire situation. It's like, and let's see. What is it's like, let's see. What is Aaron doing in the midst of everything?
Oh, I mean, I think when panic spread and they realized that they weren't going to be able to help anybody, there was this sense of despair. And then when Elhenna landed next to them on this rickety balcony, in all the glory of, starlight and the powers of, our magical girls, I think Aaron just turned and is just staring in amazement, like completely taken out of, like almost like out of body experience, like he's completely taken out of his surroundings.
Let's see. I think it's like Hannah turns over is like to him. Well, I guess not quite, but definitely sort of like it's like starts addressing him of like, can you get in contact with anybody at all that might it's like that might have the means it's to it's like, and I think it's like Alhenna is trying to it's like grasp for something of like, how do you it's like how do you all communicate? It's like normally it's like when it's like it's like when everything's not burning down.
Back channels, word of mouth. We have meeting places.
Let's see.
What?
What is it's
What
like, go
are
ahead.
you? He's like, what are you?
It's like that's not important right now. Let's see. What is the drone that It's like that they and Violet were on earlier and everything. What is that doing?
At the moment, it's still hovering in place.
It's like I think it's like Alhena sort of like it's like observes the drone and sort of like it's like looks to it's like and then it's like addresses Aaron again. It's like by any chance, it's like if I were to it's like gift you that it's like drone, would you be able to it's like do anything with it in this situation?
Like what?
Uh, it's like let's see, what kind of drone was it again?
It's one of the like the hover drones from the parade. This is one of so the drones we've been seeing so far on screen today have been ones that have left the drone station at the beginning of the finale.
See, they would normally it's like have some sort of it's like I imagine they might it's like they would generally have some sort of intercom or telecommunication system.
Hmm.
It's like I think it's like Alhena sort of like it's like not too much time to contemplate, but it's like just I think it's like sort of brings up it's like do it's like see you all salvage their it's like parts and such. It's like isn't that right? It's like you should it's like the it's like I imagine it's like perhaps it's like you may still be able to it's like salvage a means of it's like communicating or reaching out. It's like to it's like the other it's like rebels that way. No?
We have yeah, we have back channels we can access. I don't think I need the drone for that. I just it's not going to be any use right now, but I once
Then what do you need?
I think he slumps, kind of falls like slides down onto the ground or the bottom of the balcony and just sits there and he says, "Nothing. It's over."
It's like I think like we see Alhena sort of like it's like grits their teeth before they sort of like it's like reach over and then sort of like I think it's like grabs Aaron and sort of like and this is probably it's like and like it's like lifts it's like him up single-handedly but it's like to his feet and everything. Thank God for the it's like power magical girl strength and everything. It's like and just it's like beef it's like and so, it's like and just exhales deeply. It's like before it's like saying it's like the it's like before saying it's like the moment you it's like decide that it's like then it's like it will be. It's like but do you not have it's like anything it's like to live for from here? You want to it's like you want to help your community, don't you?
Uh, of course, but they're scattered right now. Right now, there's nothing I can do. I have to once the fires die down and the smoke settle, I'll try again. I I don't know what more you can ask of me.
You're right. It's like I won't ask anything it's like else of you other than it's like to it's like try not to give up. And I think it's like at this moment Alhena's also basically it's like struggling to it's like figure a way out before like they it's like before they sort of like uh it's like leap from the it's like balcony over to it's like meet with Bellatrix in the midst of their throwdown with the wolves.
Do you want to make a roll here of some sort to like instill some kind of power in Aaron? Like, it sounds like you're trying to like pass on like the power of hope and friendship and love, and that could totally be a role here to see how successful that is.
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
Okay.
I guess that's a bit of an empathize because it's like Alhenna's not necessarily expressing, and it's not like they don't understand. It's like the struggle in this situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
I think this is risky standard. And I think, you know, as time plays out, as Alhenna's focused on this important but somewhat different from the situation, I think the consequence we're facing is, you know, the hunt progresses, possibly to its completion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with that. Let's see. So that will be 1 die. Yeah. It's like, I guess it's our poison promise here.
Hmm. I think here's a thought. Regardless of how this roll goes, Aaron's going to make Adele Castoris's life very difficult as they reach out for help.
Oh boy. You know, it's like, yeah, you do know how much I enjoy making my characters' lives difficult. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. So that will be 2 dice. And then, let's see. Yeah. All right.
I will spend my last link with you to give you 1 die.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Can I trade position for effect again?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, essentially, it's like, especially since it's like, oh, if I get anything less than a full success anyway, the clock's going to fill regardless. Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
so I think in this particular case, because it's desperate, and we only have 1 tick left, I think that's one complication. And the next is you're making a connection with Aaron, and even if you succeed, you risk that despair that he's fighting against passing into you, and that I think would look like a harm.
Yeah.
Cool.
This feels vaguely weaselly, so I want to run it by people. But instead of spending a link with Alhenna to give them 1 die, I could spend the link with Alhenna to clear 2 stress, and then spend the 2 stress to give Alhenna 2 dice. But if that's too much pouring water between jugs, we can ignore it.
Oh, I mean, technically
no,
it's possible.
Yeah, I think that's great, honestly.
Yeah, so if I follow correctly, you spend 1 link to give Alhenna +1 die, and you spend another link to clear 2 stress, and then spend that 2 stress to give additional die.
No, I think it's just the latter. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I spend 1 link with Alhenna to clear 2 stress, and then I use anything you do, I do better to take 2 stress to give Alhenna 2 dice.
Yeah, sure. So what does that assist look like?
I think our eyes meet like across this situation, and we're sort of tied into the same situation, and you can see both a regret that the situation is spiraling out of control, and also a fierce resolve to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that Bellatrix is still on your side, Alhenna.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so that is 4d6. Let's see how that goes. Whoop. Oh, critical.
Ooh.
Nice. What does it look like as you pass some of your magical girl starlight power into Aaron and empower him?
I guess I don't know. That'd probably be. It's like that'd probably depend on how things look from like Aaron's perspective more than anything. It's like for the most part, it's like at least from Alhenna's perspective, it's like they are mostly just speaking honestly in the it's like sense of like it's like it would be unreasonable for me to ask you it's like to just pull a miracle out or something or to suddenly know what to do and all that and it's like the whole sense of like I get it. It's like the situation's terrible. It's like and it's like and we are desperately trying to figure out what to do and everything, but it's like we can at least but I think like also the insinuation of like even if things don't quite work out here and everything, it's like we can still figure out how to fix it and keep going as long as we don't give up sort of thing.
Yeah, I love it. I think he begins to glow and those emotions cascade out from him, giving hope. Maybe not so much to the people that are panicking and running away, but to the rest of you that are the two of you that are nearby. Like this is what you're fighting for. And so I think this basically, increases your effect or will increase your effect. I'll make a note for next time. For the rest of the, while you're in his presence, essentially. Okay, I think we're near we're almost over time, so I think we'll stop here. Is there anything anybody has they want to say before we jump into XP and Stars and Wishes?
Have we learned enough about the situation to know what the time running out clock completing would entail?
Yes. It would mean that the wolves are done collecting people that they want to collect for now. And it would mean that those hunted in the wilderness preserve in the middle of Neo Jupiter, those people over there are in the grasp of the abyss.
All right. What about the people in the desert? Still unknown?
I think it's a matter of how it plays out. I think there might be like the potential that I don't think we know yet, but I think there's a potential that that's part of it and Polaris gets shunted back or gets depowered and is sort of helpless in that position. I'm not sure exactly, but it's certainly things come to a head on that end too.
No minute like the last minute, folks.
Okay, cool. Why don't we go through XP then? You want to start us off, Will?
Sure. Let's see. I did not make any desperate rolls. I addressed a challenge with individual action or aggression, much to everyone's dismay. That is 1 point. I expressed my beliefs, drives, role, or background. I will take 1 point for my interactions with Ian. I struggled with issues from my promises or obligation. I wouldn't say really under this circumstance. I think we were all real focused on this particular mission, so I'm not going to take any on that. I embodied my eclipse or displayed the contents of my heart. Well, I'm about to make an eclipse roll, but that's for next time.
I think you should grab one for obligation because this is the counterculture and this is supposedly where Rebecca is.
Yeah, that's
it
fair.
feels related.
I did walk into this going. I did walk into this being concerned that we were going to have to make unpleasant moral choices. I'll take one for that, and I will take one for just the wiggling concerns that Frida has about whether the team is back together or not, and whether it's too late for any of that. So that'll be 4 total.
Nice. David, you want to jump to you?
Yeah, I think I have 4 total. I addressed a challenge with kindness or self-sacrifice. I'm gonna say self-sacrifice, at least insofar as I dove into a mirror with no backup.
Yeah.
So it's risky enough, I think, to count as self-sacrifice. Expressing my beliefs, drives, role, or background. I think I touched on that whenever I sort of scolded the honor guard member for letting Gabriel get disappeared. Or at least not going after him. Struggled with issues from your promises or obligation. I think there's plenty from the death of my father that I am struggling with, so I'll take 1 for that. Embodied your eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. I think displaying the contents of my heart happened maybe once or twice, maybe. Once whenever I had the scene with Sarah and I was vowing to get them a gift and was crying into their shoulder. And then, perhaps one time when I was, again, going after the honor guard, but I don't want to double dip for that. So I'm inclined to go with maybe 4, if that sounds good to people.
Sure, it's up to you. Your call.
I'll take 4.
Clarice.
All right, you address challenges with compassion or honesty. Everything about what I'm doing of putting myself out there is in trying to reassure the people has been constantly about compassion for their situation and trying to kind of relieve them of the stresses that they're going through. Then there's the fact that there was a lot of attempt at compassion for Violet's situation, though Sierra is very awkward about it. But they tried their best. And let's see here. You expressed your beliefs, drives, role, or background. There was constant beliefs going on of like just not giving up hope kind of thing with and kind of like, and along with that, they're following their ultimate drive, which is to protect anybody else, even at the risk of their own selves. You struggled with
Sorry.
You're good. I'm just like, what happened?
Bad timing.
You struggle with
difficulties.
issues with issues from promises or obligation. So absolutely with promises, because there's 2 instances where, one, they could not protect Violet from the harm of their father passing, and it goes completely counter to their promise. 2, they begrudgingly told Violet to go on by themselves towards Rose, rather than wanting to, rather than the thing of, I don't want her even being in any bad position. So I was constantly in trouble with my promise there.
I have a hard time telling which of the 2 of you is in a more desperate position right now.
Don't worry about it. I'm having fun in the desert. Not the sun, the like dirt kind, the desert, nice ice cream. Yeah. You embodied your eclipse or displayed the contents of your heart. Absolutely both. My actions are very eclipse-like. I am not really hiding myself. I'm very much actively putting myself in a lot of harm out of really not putting much feeling of like I have worth in this situation. And then along with that, display the content of my heart was the gift to Violet, and my constant trying to kind of just once again bring the friends back together, and kind of also trying to just kind of in general connect with Violet when and all.
Cool. And then Fumi.
Let's see, address the challenge with understanding or coordination. Quite a bit of coordination. It's like both. It's like during the mission and in the scene leading up to the engagement role, and definitely the understanding, especially with it's like Aaron. It's like, let's see, express your beliefs, drives, role, or background. It's like, I think I'll take 1 for that for the, it's like drives and beliefs sort of thing. It's like, which primarily came up in it's like trying to motivate Aaron not to give up. Struggled with issues from your promises or obligation. I think there was definitely a lot of struggle. I'm not it's like probably not so much from it's like promise or obligation, other than the whole, I'm interacting with it's like unacceptable community, but not as it's like Adele, that's fine. It's like it should be fine. It's like maybe because we did such a good job of hiding our identity back in season 2. Embodied your it's like eclipse or display the contents of your heart. I think there was a little bit of it's like both. It's like in displaying it's like a small bit of displaying is like the contents of your heart, especially is like it's like particularly in that it's like again the talk with Aaron, but in particular I think there was a bit more embodying it's like starting to embody Eclipse in a sense of like the whole I'm trying to help people, but these same people are also making everything so difficult and I am so tired right now.
Awesome. All right, series XP. Did you successfully carry out a mission from the series list?
We're still in the middle of it.
Did you confront the world's oppression and comfort those who suffer?
We're doing a lot of that.
Do you think that's worth 1 or 2?
I would say 2, because we were doing a lot of that. That was pretty much the entire mission.
And I guess, yeah, Aaron in particular for a named example.
Did we explore the nature of the darkness and redeem those who have fallen?
I mean, maybe the bit of exploring, considering our two situations with like the park and the desert, but I don't know if that counts or not.
0 to 1. We're learning things. But I don't know if there's been a payoff yet.
Okay, I'll put 1. Did we express the essential nature, origin, or destiny of the group?
Absolutely, I feel, especially with our ultimate thing of trying to kind of reassure people and kind of protect people as a whole, along with the keeping the hope.
Cool. All right, is there, real quick, if anybody has, is there any ability that we wanted to take right off the bat?
I would love to go for Never Alone, considering I feel like we're going to be split up a lot.
Fair, actually.
Immediately useful.
Immediately useful.
I mean, yeah, it's right now very useful. I don't think any of us are really close to each other.
I think Elhenna and Bellatrix are in the same zip code.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
yes.
at least are in the same zip code.
You're in the same alleyway. It is true.
I don't even know where the heck I am. Like, there's a desert. I don't know any desert in our city, but sure. Well, we'll figure that out later.
Okay. I guess we can move on to stars and wishes. If stars for Violet and Sarah for just throwing themselves through mirrors to see what the heck's on the other side and plunge themselves into horrible, desperate situations. And in a great way, explore what else the Abyss is up to at the moment. Star for Alhenna, having this heartfelt moment with Aaron and instilling starlight in him. I thought that was great. It's a great shot in my head. Speaking of great shots in my head, star to Frida for transforming to Bellatrix by just taking the powers of the Abyss and making that into cool ass armor. I love that every time it happens. I don't really have a wish because we're going to get to see what's going on lots of fronts, which I think is great. I think that touches on stuff we talked about in session 0 of lots of fronts that we're being assaulted on. So I'm excited for that. If anybody else has anything, feel free to jump in.
I can go next. Stars for just everything with the with Violet today. I finally got my Violet like fix here. I enjoyed the really rough start here with the funeral and kind of the fun like expressiveness also of Violet in various situations. Really enjoyed like how they express themselves initially coming into the to like the friend group talk with like that kind of like downward kind of feeling a bit from the funeral and trying to keep the mood not sinking to their kind of fun little kind of expressiveness with when getting their gift, and also Violet doing just like jumping like crazily towards the mirror. I think that was just a fun action shot in general. Stars for Bellatrix because once again I am obsessed with how you do your transcendence is my favorite. 2, seeing you use your ability to pull all the hounds with one easy go was just my favorite. We'll see how well that goes out for you long term.
Badly.
Oh god, yeah. And also stars for the Ian and Frida kind of like conversation as a whole. Like it was, I really felt the kind of concern for your sibling and everything. It was really great. Stars for Hannah as a whole with the one being for once kind of a little bit out of loss of what they're actually doing in a situation instead of being more of the upfront leader and just taking action. And along with that, just once again their talk with Aaron was really great. And yeah.
I can go. It's like next. Yeah, similarly, it's like similar stars. It's like echoed from. It's like everybody else so far and everything. So I guess I'll bring up the it's like little smaller details and everything. It's like that. It's like I also noted it's like yeah, so it's like stars too. It's like Danny definitely feeling the sort of higher stakes that we have going on. It's like for this it's like season already and everything with everything going into it's like chaos right off the bat and everything. It's like exciting. It's like let's see, it's like other little it's like things it's like including it's like yeah, it's like stars, it's like to it's like David for it's like basically deciding, you know what? It's like what if we start off with it's like with it's like Violet's father having passed away due to mysterious circumstances? It's like excited to see where it's like that it's like goes and everything alongside it's like the it's like seeing what that means for House of Festus and everything as a whole. I also enjoyed Violet's entire it's like how do I put it? The horror of realizing you've become a marketable plushie. Many marketable plushies and everything. That was it's like that just it's like I was it's like crack up at that. It's like also stars to it's like Sarah for maintaining the whole I guess the shoes always get lost in the first mission. It's like trend, it's like sort of thing and everything. It's like also stars to it's like well it's like and everything. It's like I think it's like Clarice was it's like talk about me it's like about it was me earlier and everything, but it's like certainly seems like you've become more comfortable it seems like with it's like portraying it's like Frida it's like or Bellatrix like basically like you sort of like I think it's like in a sense sort of like hit the ground it's like running the season and everything feeling more comfortable it's like whereas like understandably with last season you were still parsing things out and it's like figuring stuff out but yeah it's like definitely it's like notice that and everything and also as everybody else mentioned it's like I always love it's like the way it's like we see it's like Frida essentially just steal it's like the power straight off it's like our opposition and everything to it's like transcend that's always fun yeah it's like and then yeah similar stars to everything everyone else has is like brought up as well I can't wait to see it's like where the poison promises we were made it's like made and everything so far go uh wishes I guess this one's not really a surprise I am curious to see it's like somebody it's like eclipse at some point and seeing where it's like that goes. It's like possibly Adele because I think Adele's already hitting a lot of it's like how do I put it? It's like feelings. That and I also feel like Adele is unfortunately the kind of person who kind of has to have everything fall apart first. It's like it's like so that they stop trying to save that and it's like learn to how do I put it? It's like start anew in that sense and everything. But certainly not a it's like wish I'm expecting like next session or anything, just whenever it's like it may or may not happen. Uh let's see. And it's like, yeah, it's like pretty much just excited to see it's like where we it's like continue to it's like go from here and everything and continue to see how everybody's dynamic sort of like it's like resumes and it's like simultaneously changes compared to it's like last season. I'm done now. Sorry.
As for me, Clarice, I thought that the gift that you came up with was actually really thoughtful. And I really liked that part. That was actually very, very sweet. So big fan of the, I think, more, I think, sentimental, heartfelt roleplay scenes. Those are really leaving a lasting impression for me. Will, I always love to watch you play action scenes. The way that you were pulling out, I think it's the This One's Mine ability, and I actually quite, for one, I admired the pouring water between jugs to pull out the extra die. I think that's commitment and is something to be applauded. So I'm all for it. Danny, I forget if this has been mentioned or not, but I actually, as just kind of a detail, really thought that the environment of that sort of slum, with the drones and the panicking counterculture. I thought that was just a neat environment. I don't know if you had that prepped ahead of time or if you just pulled that out of a hat, but it was really immersive, and I thought that was awesome. And Fumi, this has really very little to do with the actual gameplay, but I am so happy that you took such detailed notes at the start of the session. That saved my butt when it came to figuring out what I was doing. So thank you. It's so much appreciated when we have someone in a gaming group who does that. So thank you for doing that. As far as wishes go, I kind of like that the stakes are escalating. I like that. I mean, and I'm saying this because I would like to see more of it. I like that we are actually up against, if not pretty much at, hitting the max on a threat clock. I'm not necessarily hoping that we hit the max on the threat clock. I'm just saying it's cool that it could happen, if that makes sense. And yeah, past that, I think one thing that I would think could be really neat to try, and this is something that's not entirely a Danny responsibility. I think we could all contribute to this. Whenever a group is really split up like we have right now, I like doing lots of slam cuts where something really intense is about to happen or just happened, and then before it can get resolved, we cut to the next person, and lots of bouncing back and forth before scenes are resolved. I think that helps keep me engaged, and it's just cinematically cool. So maybe that kind of thing could be fun to play around with for next time, and I'll try to make it a point on my end to cut my own scenes when I think it's cool to do so.
All right. I think I want to highlight and second David's comment about the clock teetering at the edge of being complete here. I feel like you have definitely, Danny, you have definitely raised the stakes on the sorts of threats we're facing, and I suspect that next session the Jenga tower is going to get a little bit more precarious, because we're stretched. We're stretched across three battlefields, and we're not necessarily doing well on any of them. I loved the conversation between Violet and Rose. I love how both Danny and David, you contributed to that about, like, you know, where's Gabriel? I'm not his keeper. He's my keeper. That sort of concerned bickering in an awkward situation. And David, I love the calling out sushi as a challenge to the Baroness. I think that's a very impactful move, and be curious to see how that lands next session. That's one of my wishes, is I'm looking forward to seeing how the Baroness reacts to being so blatantly called out in a situation that she might not appreciate. Clarice, I'm your reckless disregard for the soles of your feet and your general survivability, the degree to which you honored your character sheet's requirements about transcending and therefore put yourself into terrifying situations non-transcended, I think was a fantastic way of doubling down on your character's heart and flaws. And although it didn't last very long, Fumi, I appreciated the sort of Overwatch position that you took, in trying to connect up with Aaron and sort of organize the battlefield. And another thing that I really like is that you are keeping tabs on your stress meter, and it's interesting to see you sort of role play being on the edge of eclipse. You did this last season and this season too. Is that I like your signaling that you're flirting on the edge of eclipse there. It's a fun bit of foreshadowing. Wishes, I'm hoping somebody makes an eclipse roll next week. We've got a couple candidates. And I don't necessarily want to see, I'm torn because I don't necessarily want to see us lose, but you know, that would also provide some delicious drama as well. I'm watching that clock with consternation.
It definitely looks like something's gonna fall through the cracks, just a matter of what. For sure. Okay, I think I'll stop the recording here.